Welcome back, everybody, to another Baby Back Rib Show video. And guys, it was quite the divisional round. Unfortunate outcomes, but nonetheless, good playoff games. I will tell you guys, I am not feeling good right now. I am feeling quite under the weather. So if my voice is a little weird, that's why. I don't really think it sounds weird, though. But anyways, let's kick things off. Let's rank these quarterback performances from the divisional round. And this will probably be the last quarterback ranking I'll do just because after the conference championship, there's only going to be 4 quarterbacks that I can rank. That'd be a very quick video. But I think 8 is still a good number. Let's kick things off with the goofball himself, Jared Goff from the Detroit Lions. And honestly, looking at all 8 of these quarterbacks, there really wasn't a horrible performance. Jared Goff was the closest, and it was pretty bad. He turned over the ball a lot, and every time the Lions were trying to get back into the game, he just threw another interception. So, yeah, it was a rough day for Jared Goff. He went 23 for 40, 313 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions with a 41.5 quarterback rating, as well as 7 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground. The result was a 31-45 loss to the Washington Commanders, and obviously this does not have a good career impact on Jared Goff, who, to be fair, was playing with a Swiss cheese defense on the other side of the ball. But at the end of the day, he threw 3 interceptions, and this could have been a much closer game. Coming in at number 7, we have C.J. Strad from the Houston Texans. Strad went 19 for 28, 245 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, with a 65.7 quarterback rating, as well as 42 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground. The result was a 14-23 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't think this has a career impact on C.J. Stroud, just because they were definitely expected to lose this game, and I think he played decent. And it goes back to what I was, it goes back to what I was saying, how there wasn't really any horrible performances from the divisional round, because I think the distance between Jared Goff and C.J. Stroud at 8 and 7 is pretty big. This is a decent performance that kept the Texans in the game. Coming in at number 6, we have Matthew Stafford from the LA Rams. And Stafford went 26 for 44, 324 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, with a 47.8 quarterback rating, 5 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground, including one pretty good run that got them a first down. I know a lot of people are kind of hating on Matt Stafford right now. Some people are blaming him for the loss. I don't really understand that. I know he had that fumble in this game, but you know how freaking slippery. Let me tell you, as a Ravens fan, that ball is slippery in the snow. So I don't really blame him for that. And I also think that the fact that he threw for 324 passing yards in a snowy game is pretty damn impressive. The result was a 22-28 loss to the Eagles, and I don't think this has a career impact on him. He's already won a Super Bowl. And like I said, they weren't really expected to win this game at the end of the day. At number 5, we have Patrick Mahomes from the Kansas City Chiefs, who had an okay performance, 16 for 25, 177 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, with a 66.3 quarterback rating, as well as 14 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground. He did have that insane touchdown throw to Travis Kelce. The result was a 23-14 win over the Texans, and I don't think this has a career impact on him. We're used to Patrick Mahomes winning in the playoffs. And listen, I'm not going to dive in and start talking about how he's a flop. You know how I feel about Patrick Mahomes. But I think there's something to be said, and one thing you'll notice with a lot of the quarterbacks on this list, and one thing I've noticed about the playoffs in general this season so far, is the good quarterbacks that are winning games aren't really doing an insane amount where it's showing up in the stat sheet and they're having crazy games, but they're taking care of the ball. And there's so much to be said about that. Coming in at number 4, we have Jaylen Herz from the Philadelphia Eagles, who his health is in question. I don't know what is going on with him. I know he had a knee injury. There is a chance he could be out for this NFC Championship game, which is kind of a crazy development. But like I was talking about with Patrick Mahomes, took care of the ball, 15 for 20, 128 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, no interceptions, with a 49.5 quarterback rating. I don't think he had a fumble in this game. I could be wrong. I don't believe he did. He might have fumbled it and the Eagles recovered it. But Jaylen Herz did have an insane run to kind of set the tone at the beginning of the game with I think it was like 50-something yards. So he had 70 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. And the result was a 28-22 win. And I don't think this really has a huge career impact on Jaylen Herz. I think if we see him go to another Super Bowl, that's when it starts, to have a good impact on his career. But he might not even play in that game. Coming in at number 3, we have Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills. And he had a much smaller stat line than I thought when I watched this game. He went 16 for 22, 127 yards, 0 touchdowns, no interceptions, with a 71.1 quarterback rating and 20 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. The result was a 27-25 close victory over the Baltimore Ravens. And obviously this has a good career impact for him. We already knew that the winner of this game was going to have a good career impact from it. The loser was going to have a bad. And some, might be controversial. I ranked the loser above the winner, just because even though they were turning over the ball, I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about when we get to that point, which is very, very soon, I believe. But Josh Allen took care of the ball. Like I said, there's something to be said about not turning over the ball and taking care of the ball in the playoffs. You don't have to throw for 300 yards. You don't have to throw for 4 touchdowns because sometimes you're doing too much. You're taking care of the ball. You're not turning it over. And you're letting your team, this team's had a good rushing attack with James Cook, you're letting your team go down the field. And those 2 rushing touchdowns from Josh Allen, using his body to get into the end zone, those were huge. So, very good performance, just from a winning standpoint. But coming in at number 2, we have Lamar Jackson from the Baltimore Ravens, who went 18 for 25, 254 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, as well as a 85.8 quarterback rating, and 39 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground. The result was a 25-27 loss. And obviously, despite being ranked number 2 on this list, has a bad career impact just because he lost the game. And it's horrible, man. I could talk for like 20 minutes about how sad it is and how depressing it is. But at the end of the day, they lost. And, Lamar is frustrated with this. He could say that he'll come back next year, but it's what happens every year. The Ravens need to stop beating themselves. However, this time, I don't think the loss is on Lamar. I know he had those turnovers in the first half, and they did play a huge impact. I mean, 1 interception that he threw, the Ravens stopped the Bills, and the Bills didn't even score. But that fumble was huge. That fumble kind of changed the tide of the game. But trust me when I say the Ravens would not have made this a close game. They would not have made this a 2-point game without Lamar's effort. So I feel for him losing this game. It sucks, but at the end of the day, he still lost. I think he had a good performance despite those turnovers. I think he had a good bounce back. Because usually what we see in the playoffs is Lamar Jackson, does something like turning over the ball twice, and then it just all melts down from there. And it didn't really happen this time. Lamar bounced back. He played well. They came up short. And Mark Andrews. Goddamn, Mark Andrews. But coming in at number 1, easy number 1 here, Jaden Daniels from the Washington Commanders, who went 22 for 31, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, with a 91.8 quarterback rating, as well as 51 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground. It resulted in a 45-31 win over the number 1 seed Detroit Lions. And obviously this has an insanely good impact on his career to start out. I mean, what we're seeing Jaden Daniels do is nothing short of amazing. If you told me at the beginning of the season that Jaden Daniels would be the number 1 quarterback in the divisional round, performance-wise, I would have said you're absolutely fucking nuts. But here we are. Jaden Daniels is him. I'm excited to see how he performs in Philadelphia. I think if Jaylen Herz plays, I don't really think that they win this game, but it's an insane story. It's an amazing story. And, Jaden Daniels is officially Himothy. But, guys, that's all I have for you. Quick video, I know. And I apologize. I probably would talk more if my throat didn't hurt. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. And if you guys like the video, you made it this far, please leave a like. I appreciate all of the support. I might make one more video before the conference championship, just kind of going more in depth about these games. So stay tuned for that. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Later.